of the show, please email showx@vtwproductions.com.
In my kingdom, my land, my country, we have fought for centuries, stood next to our brothers who bled on the battlefield for our rights as men. But no longer! Now we stand together in unity against one common foe. Come, brothers and sisters, today we fight a new battle! We fight for
dysfunctional deviations.
Hello. Did you see what I did there? In fact, wait. Okay, that's a bit better. Did you see what I did there? I cut out the awkward part of the intro. I cut out the kind of did that. I said it was cheesy last week. It's gone. It's not there anymore. Nah, not having it. Hello, you're listening to ShowX on vtwproductions.com, which reminds me, I didn't do any tweets or Facebookings. Is that what you call a Facebook post? A Facebooking? Because that would be, I think that's probably the smartest thing I've ever come up with by mistake. So yes, you've listened to ShowX. You are now listening to ShowX on vtwproductions.com. This is a show where we talk about whatever we feel like, really. It's supposed to be gaming and tech related, but that sometimes doesn't work out. Today we're going to be doing a sort of general news type thing. And it's going to be good. We got loads of news to go through, loads of stuff to talk about, and some of it's controversial, some of it's sciencey, and whatever else. So you're going to enjoy it. Wayne is not here today. He is having some computer problems, and he's also been away to a con all weekend. So I think he's probably quite tired too, and I think he should have a nice, well-earned rest today. Which is just as well, because I actually have not set up this computer to host with two people yet. So far, I've been doing okay with one. It works, and the audio quality is apparently very nice. The only thing that I think is really bad is my crappy backdrop. Because in front of me it looks quite nice. I've got lots of books, and I've got nice screens and candles and stuff, because I'm very feminine. And my camera and stuff. I did put my guitar back there thinking that would help. It didn't really help. So there's the backdrop. I could really do with like a green screen here and maybe put like, I don't know, a helicopter flying over the Sahara or something in the background. I don't know why. But that would be a good idea. But otherwise, everything is working just fine here. Also, we don't have audio. This is video only. It's YouTube only. So please do just tell your friends it's YouTube only. And that's also now on posted on Twitter, the Tweeter, and the Facebooker. Cool. Okay, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Brad Sucks, who we played in the intro. Now, we had some trouble last week with the show, because we got 15 or something copyright claims on the show. That wasn't good. And what's more is they were all unfounded. Except for one, which was completely fair, and I removed that one song. But the rest of them were completely unfounded, because we have the rights to play Frogpant Studios music from Leo, but YouTube didn't believe me. And even when I claimed a copyright dispute, I said, actually, he sent me an email saying it's cool, and then they didn't care. So I don't know what else to do about that. But for now, I'm not going to play any Leo, because I don't want to risk the show getting muted, which is makes it rather difficult to do a podcast-based show, an audio-based show, when you can't talk. So I decided, yeah. This week we're trying out Brad Sucks, and so we had a Brad Sucks entirely intro, which is good, because I like Brad Sucks. We had him on the show before, Brad himself, like 100 shows ago or something crazy like that. He's a great guy, great dude. And he produces a lot of good music. And what's more is it's under the Creative Commons licensing, which is fantastic. So it means that we can play his stuff, and so long as I attribute him. So Brad Sucks. Check his stuff out. Just Google it and you'll find him. Easy peasy. You can also get his music for free, I believe, or it's like a minimum of like $1 or something. I can't remember if we paid for it, when we paid for it or not. Or when we got it, I can't remember if we paid for it or got it for free legally. But we did get it for legally. We always do. All right. So that's that. We've got the IRC here with us today. And by the IRC, I mean we have Hando. Hello, Hendo. Thank you for joining. It's nice to have a listener. Well, actually, there is more than one listener. I can see that. We've got 5 actually, but I don't know why there's 5 people listening. Only one person actually watching. That's all. One person in the IRC. That's odd. Come join in. And Hando says in the IRC, such a good game in terms of Factorio. Yes, it is. It's awesome. Thank you for the well done intro. And is Wayne at TwitchCon? No, he's at DreamHack, I think it's called, which is that like gamer one. Not the Twitch, isn't a gamer one. I heard some controversy was going on at the Twitch conference this week. I heard certain creative artist Twitch people showed up with like their fancy pens and the, you know, hundreds of dollars of like artistry equipment that they use to make their creative, well, the tools of their trade, really, and they were turned away at the entrance because they weren't allowed pens inside. Now, apparently, the Twitch said this beforehand, like, it's been a standing rule for some time that you can't bring pens in, but, you know, surely they can make an exception for these famous people, these famous streamers on Twitch who make their living by doing art. It kind of makes sense for them to bring their tools with them, right? Because that's kind of what they're there celebrating. So maybe those rules need to be revisited or something. I heard there was some very upset people about that, understandably. Okay, so I have like a bajillion articles here which I want to go through, and I really should put them in some kind of order, but instead it is truly just an entire mix. Let's start off with this one from The Independent. The Snapchat dancing hot dog filter has become an unusual Halloween costume. Not entirely surprising, and what is surprising is that I've not seen any memes floating around of this for some time. The Halloween, sorry, the Snapchat dancing hot dog was kind of a few months ago, wasn't it? That whole craze of people using it on everything. So it is a little surprising that it's going around this year. What I am expecting this year is dozens and thousands of Pennywise from It clowns, because, you know, it's the film of the year pretty much, and it's Halloween, and clowns are already scary as it is, and fairly easy to dress up as. You should get very colourful clothing, really, and make this frizzy hair, frizzy red hair, and like a donk donk on your nose, whatever you call that. I'm going to call it a donk donk. So it's quite easy to dress up as, and I imagine that's what everybody will do, because I know last year, it was everybody, male and female, were going as Harley Quinn, right? Like everybody, just the whole world went as Harley Quinn last year. From, shoot, what's that film called? Harley Quinn. What was she in last year? Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. I don't know, I forgot the name of that. Yeah, so because of that last year, that she was super popular and everybody went as her. Whereas this year it's going to probably be Pennywise, but I don't know who the guys are going to go. I mean, I'm sure some will still wear the really high up stockings and short shorts and so on and so forth. I'm sure some guys will, but I mean, like, I don't think the majority of people will. And Hando says, Twitch goes creative with their policy and doesn't let artists bring in tools. Well thought out, guys. Well done. Indeed. It was really unfair for them to do that. It was because these people have, like, paid for their hotels and flights and stuff, and they just want to go in and do their thing, and you're not letting them do their thing, you know? And yes, it is Suicide Squad. So that was a vaguely interesting article. I don't really care. I mean, I'm sure some people will be going as the Snapchat dancing hot dog. Nobody I know, I can tell you that. Alright. I think it's more of a youth thing anyway. This is from the BBC. Bitcoin boom prompts growth of coin mining malware. Now, I thought this was interesting. Maybe it's my computing science mind. But, with the huge boom of Bitcoin being super popular for both countries, governments, for individuals, organizations, and so on, it is the new currency that is kicking off around the world, and eventually outside the world. Generating cryptocurrencies involves a lot of computer hardware, it says here. The booming price of Bitcoin and other crypto coins has kicked off a gold rush among malicious hackers keen to cash in. Yeah, so the problem with mining Bitcoins is they're only released every once in a while, and every time that one is released, more computational work is required for you to get the next Bitcoin, to be the one that gets it. As such, because there's only a finite amount of Bitcoin, right? Eventually we will run out. And as such, once the more the computer hardware that is required to actually get it, the more expensive it becomes to get bitcoins. And so, if you could just steal it, it becomes a bit more lucrative over time to invest in just trying to steal somebody else's hard work than to just invest in the hardware and the time to get your own, right? And never mind the technical know-how. So it makes perfect sense to me that this is going to be the next big thing. People trying to hack into cryptocurrency computer hardware. So, many sites are now harboring code that secretly uses a visit's computer to mine the valuable eCash coins. That's not surprising either. So not only are they trying to hack into the computers that have access to these Bitcoin accounts, the wallets themselves, but they're also trying to make use of the distributed computing power of the internet, which again makes sense, right? If your computer would take you 5 years to get 1 Bitcoin, right? At working at full max, and it costs you probably equal amount in power over the 5 years to do it. You could do that, or you can make a little crappy website that people click on and pay for ads for it or whatever. Spend like $300 on ads for some people click on the website, and install this. Install your own bit mining software onto hundreds of unknown random machines out there, maybe even phones. And have them all working towards the same goal of you getting the Bitcoin. Then, guess what? It won't take 3 years, it'll take 3 months or whatever if you can get enough people. And that'll save you a lot of time and money. However, it is of course very much illegal because you're using somebody else's resource, their computer, without their permission. And you're maliciously installing code that does something onto their machine as well. The problem has led to Google engineers to consider putting protections against mining in the Chrome browser. Oh, I didn't know that. But it makes sense every time, because Chrome itself is usually a very safe browser. I mean, it's quite tough to get to the more malicious websites now. Like Google's set up some little warning pages that are like, hey, this site's been associated with malware, or it's got some malware signatures that are showing up in its code. You might not want to go there, bro, whenever you click on these sites, right? So it makes sense that they continue down this sort of path. Earlier this month, hundreds of websites were found to be running code created by the CoinHive project. This lets the web domains generate coins for the Monero cryptocurrency by using the processing power of visitors' computers. While some sites have put the CoinHive code on their site themselves, many others have been hacked to host the short script. Makes sense, right? Again, if you want to be found to be doing this kind of thing and then breaking into people's computers to install Bitcoin mining software, malicious software, just put it on somebody else's website, hack into their website, especially if it's bigger and got a lot of traffic. Like imagine our website, right? If our website got hacked on VTW, we have a few thousand hits per day, and if a few thousand people per day were infected with that kind of stuff, hey, that's a few thousand people extra. Well, even if it installs only 5%, right? That's still a couple hundred per day you could get of people being mined. That's great. That's a great idea. And I'm not surprised at all. It makes sense. Palo Alto Networks has said that they found CoinHive on almost 150 separate domains. The most popular locations for the code were porn, video, and file sharing sites. Zero surprise. Zero surprise. The wide uptake of CoinHive and the surging price of Bitcoin, now worth about $5,600 per coin, about £4,200, has led to the creation of many copycat coin mining systems. Makes sense? Makes sense. Alright, so that's all that. That's vaguely interesting. This one is from the Press of Atlantic City, and this is a bit of a darker topic, this one. But I thought it was quite interesting. An officer with the state... This is from, Press of Atlantic City, yeah. An officer with the State of Department of Corrections was arrested and charged with receiving images of child pornography, acting U.S. Attorney William E. Fitzpatrick announced Thursday. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Homeland Security investigation agents arrested Stephen Salamak, 37, of Lodi, Bergen County, at his home. According to the complaint, Salamak used multiple email accounts to seek and obtain explicit images of underage children. Now, there are two things that maybe want to mention in this article. One is the position that this dude was in, which is the fact that he was an officer with the State Departments of Corrections, meaning he was a prison guard, right? Or at least... Well, he's an officer, so yeah, he must be a prison guard. So a prison guard has been found with lots of child porn and found seeking and distributing child porn. But also, but next part's also quite interesting. In May, and it's so... He must have thought he was being smart here, but he's not. In May, an undercover law enforcement officer responded to a Craigslist ad placed by Salamac seeking women and mums that are into cheese pizza. Disgusting. Just cheese pizza highlighting the CP child porn, right? That's kind of where it comes from, I think. The complaint said Salamac communicated with undercover officer and requested photos of an 8-year-old child. That just makes me disgusted saying that. In July, authorities executed a search of Salamac's email account, finding that he communicated with multiple people about pornography and pedophilia. I'm glad to hear that he did, because that means that these people now have their email addresses all written down somewhere saying, hey, these guys are pedophiles too, let's catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Search warrant was executed on Thursday, and where he admitted to authorities cheese pizza was a reference to child porn. He knowingly received emails contained child porn and knowingly communicated with various individuals regarding child porn pedophilia. So he's not hiding away from it. He said that this is the truth. He's definitely going to get a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years in prison, with a maximum potential of 20 years and a $250,000 fine. So here is my really kind of controversial opinion on this stuff, and I think, and it comes from an ethical place. Hear me through. I think I might be overly compassionate, some would say here. So when it comes to this kind of thing, my opinion of it is quite simple. I think that if we have anybody who has not yet committed a crime, but has these kind of feelings, right? If they're born with it or whatever, because I don't think anybody chooses to become you know, so he's into children. I think you are born that way. It is some kind of mental disorder that way. I think if you are born with this sort of malignant part of your brain, and you don't act on it, first of all, that's a very good thing. Good for you. You know, nothing but praise and admiration and respect for people who can hold themselves back from something that they want to do that is illegal. Good for you. And what's further is, I think we should really have some or multiple government-sponsored help programs out there where these people can go forward and say, hey, look, I need a psychologist, I need a therapist, I need some assistance here because I'm worried I might hurt somebody. And we should do nothing but be proud of these people for when they do that, right? We should have nothing but respect for these people because, and I hate to quote Parthenax here, and let me actually get the official quote because it is very good. So Parthenax, what is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? Right? And I would argue that being born good is easy, but actually choosing to overcome your sort of these tendencies and choosing to seek help and choosing to do the right thing is entirely an impressive and something that should be rewarded. However, not in the case of this guy, because once you cross that barrier, once you start looking up stuff, once you start requesting things, you are assisting in the trade of children. You are assisting in them being abused, and I think at that stage, I don't have any sympathy because you've lost your restraint. You are not trying to help children. You're trying to save them from anything that you might do. Instead, you have, even if it's through a third party or whatever, you have at least encouraged this kind of behavior to go on, and so I have no sympathy. And that's when I say the law can do as they please, and whatever is deemed fit by the law of the land. But you should be put into a jail cell for decades because you have now done something horrific, and that's just the way it has to be. But up until that point, and up until, if you have the restraint, you should seek a therapist, get some help, because good for you if you do that. Nothing but respect for that. Okay, that was quite a deep topic. Okay, didn't mean to, well, I did kind of mean to talk about it, but, you know. Alright, here's another completely random one. And, oh, I agree with this entirely. Donald Trump says he would not be president without Twitter. I bet that makes the CEO of Twitter just so mad. It must just make him so mad. So, I agree, by the way, because Trump's done two kind of revolutionary things with Twitter. One is what the article is going to talk about, which is that he became president through the works of Twitter, through the medium of Twitter. It helped a lot. But more importantly, I would argue, is the fact that okay, Obama did use Twitter to an extent, but it was more like it was controlled by his secretaries type of thing. He didn't really talk on it, I would say. But when Trump had the POTUS account, he uses Twitter as a direct line to the people. It's not interpreted by the media in the middle. It's not filtered through several people who reword what he wants to say. It goes directly to the minds and to the eyes and the ears of the population of the United States and the rest of the world. Now, I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing, right? I'm just merely stating that he is one of the first ones to do this, and it's quite revolutionary, because he is encouraging a direct line of communication between him and the people. And is that a good thing in this day and age? I think it could be easily argued either which way, right? You could say, of course, the people should hear what the actual president has to say, not a filtered version of it, or a tilted version of it through media. Of course, it makes sense for the people to hear it that way. But at the same time, you could also argue, well, you know, everybody's prone to making mistakes and saying something due to having too much passion or anger on a topic, and having direct access to Twitter like that might not be a good thing. And but clearly Trump's methodologies, let's say, his style when it comes to tweeting and comes to posting online, and his way of saying whatever's on his mind has done him well. Right? I mean, I'm not saying it's good for the world, again. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying that somewhere in the US, a bunch of people clearly enjoy his methodologies and voted for him, right? So there is that. I don't think that can be denied. When somebody says something about me, I'm able to go bing, bing, bing and take care of it. The other way, I would never get the word out. And he's right. He's totally right. Donald Trump has defended his use on Twitter and admitted he would not have won the presidency without it. The US leader has said that social media was a tremendous platform that allowed him to bypass what he claimed was unfair media coverage and speak directly to voters. He's not entirely wrong. I mean, like, I'm no fan of Trump, and I'm trying to really avoid my own personal politics here. But the way I see it is that Trump, on both sides, be it CNN, be it Fox, be it left-wing, right-wing, there's always a tilt one way or the other to being really pro or being really anti-Trump, you know? I mean, like, the media there are not many neutral places you can read about Trump. It's actually tough to find now. People are very opinionated about Trump. Understandably, he says a lot of very aggressive and very blunt things, and I think that's a large part of his tact. But as such, if he does have this very blunt tactic for speaking, and he can do it through Twitter, it means that he can bypass these media agencies, these middlemen, middlewomen, who are rewording, rephrasing, and adding their own opinions to these articles they write about him. And he can just say, screw that noise, I just want them to hear what I say, not what is interpreted by people in the middle. And I gotta give him that, you know, that he's totally right. If it wasn't for Twitter, the people would have mostly heard what's on CNN, what's on Fox, etc., and been either even more. I bet the world would be even. Sorry, I bet the US would be even more segregated than it currently is, if people followed the media and trusted them as the only source instead of Twitter as well. Mr. Trump regularly uses Twitter to mount vigorous attacks on political opponents, news outlets, and people who have criticized him, often sending out posts in early morning or late evening flurries. Even leaders of his own Republican Party have urged him to rein in his Twitter usage, and Mr. Trump admitted some friends have suggested his use of social media could damage him. Of course it could, but it's also a strength, right? I mean, like I said, that's partly what people voted for him, not just for the social media, but the fact that reflects his personality, the fact that he's willing to stand up there and say what he's thinking, and he's not exactly the most. He is entirely transparent, right? I mean, and it's a good thing. I mean, we know what he's thinking, we know what he's planning. When something happens, we can kind of say, like, well, we saw it coming, right? Like, he's building the wall. Some people have been surprised that he's actually doing it. Like, I don't get that, because he said it repeatedly. I mean, it wasn't a metaphor. He did say it repeatedly for a long time. I think that's just security going by checking the doors. Like, it scared me a little bit. In an interview due to air on the Fox Business Network channel, the president added, "Tweeting is like a typewriter. When I put it out, you put it immediately on your show." And he is not wrong, right? As soon as Trump tweets, it goes out on all these other news networks because they want people to hear it from them and not from Twitter, because they want to add their stint to it. They want to make money off it, right? That's the end of it. They want to one color it towards their own perspective, so that people see it in the view of this news outlet. And secondly, they want to make the money off of the tweets that Trump has made, because they want to say, "You heard it here on CNN. Now here's your ad. You heard it here on Fox News. Here's your ad," right? His comments come after his rival for presidency, Hillary Clinton, condemned his dangerous Twitter tirades. I suppose there. Oh, well, here's a good example here. Here's one quote from Trump. Just heard Foreign Minister of North Korea speak at UN. If he echoes thoughts of Little Rocket Man, they won't be around much longer. Yeah, that kind of talk is definitely blunt, and exactly what we expect from Donald Trump. There's nothing unexpected there. All right, that was from The Independent. This is the next one from BBC. And this one's quite interesting actually, because I was a little surprised when I first heard the news about what we're about to talk about. The initial news, I should say. So the World Health Organization, some time ago, I think it was like last week or earlier in the week, they appointed Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe as the Goodwill Ambassador. So specifically trying to fight against like the spread of AIDS and other such diseases. But it was an interesting choice. Mugabe, who has an extremely, to say the least, controversial figure. Let's just read the article. The World Health Organization head Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said, "I have listened carefully to all those who have expressed their concerns." He previously praised Zimbabwe for its commitment to public health, but critics point... Is that all he said? That's a really short quote. He previously praised Zimbabwe for its commitment to public health, but critics pointed out that Zimbabwe's healthcare system had collapsed in recent years. Hey, who's a good host to be our goodwill ambassador for health? How about that guy who failed to have a healthcare system? That's a great idea. During the first 20 years of his 37-year rule, Mr. Mugabe widely expanded healthcare, but the system has badly been affected by the collapse of the Zimbabwean economy since the year 2000, which, people make jokes about the fact that you need hundreds of thousands of Zimbabwe dollars to make just a small amount of money in Western cash now, right? Staff often go without pay, medicines are in short supply, and Mr. Mugabe, who has outlived the average life expectancy in his country by 3 decades, he's in his 80s by the way, travels abroad for medical treatment. Says a lot. Mr. Tedros said that he has consulted with the Zimbabwean government and decided that rescinding Mr. Mugabe's position was in the best interests of The Who, not the band. He said that he remained... 93. Jeez, he's 93. So 60. You have to be. Average life expectancy of Zimbabwe is 60 something, which is pretty low. Okay, now we're both confused. Age Mugabe. Yeah, you're right. He's 93. I read somewhere else today that he was in his 80s. So Hando's totally right. Thank you for the correction. He said he remained firmly committed to working with all countries and their leaders to build universal healthcare. Mr. Tedros, elected in May under the slogan "Let's prove the impossible is possible." That's one hell of a slogan when you put Mugabe as your goodwill ambassador. I mean, that is trying to make the impossible possible, right? I mean, yes, that's certainly true. That's like trying to get, I don't know, Trump to be the guy to make amends between North Korea, Russia, and the US. I mean, it's just not going to happen, is it? But the appointment was met with a wave of surprise and condemnation. The UK government, the Canadian Prime Minister, the Wellcome Trust, the NCD Alliance, UN Watch, the World Heart Federation, Action Against Smoking, and Zimbabwean lawyers and social media users, many of whom, were among those who criticised the decision. The BBC's Andrew Harding in Johannesburg reports that Mugabe supporters are likely to see this episode as Western meddling in Africa. Yeah. So Mugabe, he did some crazy stuff. He did some evil things. And here's an article from the Washington Post to discuss that a little bit. So this is okay. This is from a chap who was actually running against Mugabe in a presidential election some years ago. So here's a quote from this person. Comrade Mugabe, as he likes to be called, was running for re-election when he signed a speech restriction called the Public Order and Security Act into law in January, and his message to voters could not have been clearer. Put up and shut up or else. Zimbabweans were alarmed but not surprised. Officially, Zimbabwe remains a parliamentary democracy, but in reality, Mugabe presides over the country as a tyrant in the classical sense of the word, an autocrat who rules exclusively for his own gratification with contempt for the common good. Although he has continued to stage elections in order to maintain a veneer of international legitimacy, his preferred vote-winning strategies have always been intimidation and terror. Despite the brutal campaign in the parliamentary elections of 2000, however, the opposition party Movement for Democratic Change had succeeded in sweeping 57 in 127 contested seats, and now Mugabe was desperate. The presidential elections will be held mid-March, and for the first time in his political career, he was running as the underdog candidate, trailing the MDC leader, Morgan Tsvangirai. I butchered that one. A former trade union boss by substantial margins. Zimbabweans finally appeared to have enough of the regime and transferred what was once Africa's most prosperous countries into the domain of bloody disorder with one of the fastest shrinking economies on earth. The annual inflation is close to 150%. Now, let me just get that into perspective here. Inflation right now in the US is, as of this month, 2.2%. Okay, 2.2%. The UK is going through some economic turmoil right now with Brexit. So let's look up the inflation for the UK. The UK inflation currently, and this is under stress, is 2.9%, which is high for us, right? We're not used to this. And yet, in Zimbabwe, it's 150%. That is crazy. The National Treasury is entirely bankrupt. The army is engaged in futile intervention in Congo's civil war at a cost of dozens of lives and an estimated $1 million a day. I don't know what $1 million that is. I'm guessing that's in their local currency. I don't know if that's much. The local care system is essentially defunct, and with 250,000 of the population infected with AIDS, the funeral business is among the country's last remaining growth industries. When Mugabe said of Zimbabwe last year, "This is my territory, and that which is mine I cling to unto death," his subjects may have wondered whether he was speaking of their death. The life expectancy of Zimbabweans has fallen by some 15 years during his tenure, and now hovers around 40. So that was 15 years ago, to be fair, but still, he's been in power since. And yeah, it's not surprising, any of this stuff. So the fact that this guy was put as goodwill ambassador is psycho. Absolute, utter tosh. Makes no sense. But there you go, that is what happened. He was made the goodwill ambassador of who finally saw the problem with what they said. Probably because there was hundreds of thousands of people telling them why they were wrong. From The Independent, Facebook trying to make users reveal even more personal details through new features. And they say it's because they wanted the people to get to know each other better. Fun Facts encourages you to publish details that you might not have shared on your profile. It also invites you to create questions that anyone else can answer, even if you're not friends with them. Okay. An instruction page for adding fun facts reads, "Answer any of these questions to help people get to know you. You can also choose an emoji to post alongside your fun fact, but this is optional." The Create a Question feature is slightly more unusual, in that it appears to encourage you to interact with people you don't know. Questions you create are public so anyone can answer them, Facebook says. The user who screen grabbed the Create a Question page, Blake Tsuzaki, attempted to make their question, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" but Facebook blocked it, calling it invalid. While it's certainly a silly question, it's unclear why Facebook decided against allowing it. I can tell you why. Because the ads are sell based on personal information, right? That's what they're trying to harvest. They're harvesting personal information. And if you try to you know, target the ads very specifically towards the audience that's best for them. Okay, like for example, imagine our show. We put up a Facebook ad, and we said we want to target people who are between the ages of 10 and 60, let's just say, particularly in the West, so the US and the UK, but other European countries with high levels of English are good as well, and preferably people who are into games and technology, right? That'd be a good ad for us because it would be targeting the right people. But Facebook needs to know who those people are. So it looks through people's profiles and it says, okay, this person says they like these video games, this person likes these video games, but they don't speak English, so that's not ideal. This person loves video games but lives in the Sudan, so that's not ideal. This person lives in the US but is 65, so that's outside the range that they specified, so on and so forth. So if they can do it even further and be like, fun fact is, I don't know, I once went skinny dipping, and then suddenly your news line, your Facebook ads are filled with swimming ad stuff, you know, because there's one extra bit of information there. That would do it, and then suddenly Facebook can make a little bit more cash, right? That's why these things exist, which makes sense, and I understand it. And as I've always said, when it comes to something that's a free medium online, it's not free. You are the product. All right. This is another one from The Independent. Cody box crackdown could make it far harder to watch free sports and TV streams illegally. So Cody, for those who don't know it, is a kind of fantastic app and bit of hardware that you can get, or install, I should say. Cody is a term you've probably heard and discussed in the context of TV and movie streaming, and this was from Tech Radar, but you may not be exactly sure what it means. Don't worry though, you're far from alone. We're here to get you around the basics. Essentially, Kodi is a platform for accessing all your digital audio and visual content in a single convenient place, and in its vanilla form is a foundation for more accessible personal media. However, its reputation has been tarnished by illegal activity, with the software able to be easily manipulated to grant users access to content of questionable origin. So the neat thing about Kodi is that you can install this operating system practically on any device. So you can hook your phone up to your TV, you can hook a PlayStation that's got Kodi installed, Amazon Fire Stick that's got Kodi installed, whatever, right? You can put any bit of hardware attached to your TV, and then you access that bit of hardware as you normally would, be it through a keyboard and mouse, or be it through another phone or whatever, or even you can even install the software Kodi onto your computer and just access it that way. And what you do is you tell it the sources that you want it to give the media from. So you'll just give it some links, pretty much, that it will then scan through to find audio streams and music streams and video streams and porn streams or whatever else. And then the nice thing is, it shows sort of like a Steam big screen type feature. So you when you're looking on your TV, it looks like you're looking at like a nice Netflix library almost, except it's full of illegal sources from multiple places, or legal ones as well. Like you can also check out like YouTube or whatever, right? That's all fine. So because it can be easily manipulated, it's become quite popular to be used for illegal means. It's not all scandal and playing fast and loose with the law, though. Kodi is a complex mix of the good, bad, and ugly, and the illegal. A piece of software that can adopt many forms and fulfill many uses, some wholesome, some less so, this article says. So let's go back to the original article, which wasn't just a description. It could soon get much harder to purchase a Kodi box. A newly formed coalition of entertainment organizations is set to tackle the pirate streaming devices and apps. This always annoys me because these services, software and hardware that's available that can be used for illegal means is in themselves not always illegal. For example, uTorrent, BitTorrent, LimeWire originally, Kazaa, Pirate Bay even, and yes, Kodi, as well as many others. The problem is that these different sources and these different devices and such are open source, and so people can manipulate them as they please. I mean, for example, torrenting is perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong or illegal with torrenting. All it means is that basically the technology behind torrenting is just there are, instead of a server and a bunch of users, there are just a bunch of users, and then they just download from each other. And if the problem is that it's too slow, because, you know, one person to one person can be pretty slow, maybe they don't have the whole file or whatever else, they made it so that there can be a multi-user element to it, so that when you have multiple computers connected to multiple computers, you can download a lot faster, right? That's pretty much the idea behind torrenting. And there's a lot of really big files that are completely legal and free to download out there. Like, imagine that you videoed a sunset in full HD, and that you wanted to upload the file in a raw format that was quite large, say like 20 gig. Not easily downloadable via HTTP on a website or anything like that, because it's far too large. So you want to put it on a torrent site, and then that's what you do. You upload it there, and then people can just download it from your computer, and then vice versa. It can spread that way, and it's a really efficient means of sharing data. However, because of the fact that so many people do use it for illegal stuff, it means that people, well, governments and lawyers often sort of just throw them all in the same sort of box. To be fair, there is a level of, you know, you made this, you need to kind of control who uses it, etc., I guess. But you don't get angry at knife makers for people buying knives and stabbing people, you know? Like, that's kind of the way I see it. You don't get angry at even people who make guns. You shouldn't get mad at them for somebody getting a gun illegally on the black market and shooting with it. It's not your fault for making the gun or making the knife or making the software. In the end, it's the people who are actually doing the illegal thing that's the problem. You can't stop somebody else doing something illegal. For example, I think in Amsterdam in the UK, marijuana seeds are legal, perfectly fine. I think you can. I don't know why you want them, but maybe you can sell them or use the plant to, I don't know, grow hemp, right? And then you can make cloth out of it. I think that's technically illegal though, anyway. But point being, I think the seeds are legal. And as such, that's fine. The problem is people who actually use them for other things. So yes, you could ban the original thing, but where's the line? Do we not allow any services which allow downloading anymore? That would be inconvenient, right? I mean, do you need a license to provide downloads from now on? How's it going to work? So it's a really tough line to put down, and I think it needs to be a case-by-case basis. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair on Kodi and the company behind Kodi to have their ecosystem damaged this way, and their product damaged, and their business damaged due to the fact that other people are using it for illegal means. That's my thoughts on it. This is another one from the BBC. If I can click on it, let me click on it. Tech pundit Scoble faces harassment claims. So renowned tech consultant and commentator Robert Scoble has apologized after multiple accusations of inappropriate behavior towards women. In a post on Medium, journalist Quinton Norton accused Mr. Scoble of groping her body at a technology conference in the early 2010s. Another woman, former colleague Michelle Greer, also said that Mr. Scoble made unwanted advances touching her leg during a conference in 2010. On Facebook, Mr. Scoble said, "I know that apologies are not enough and that they don't erase the wrongs of the past or the present." So he admitted it, pretty much. If you apologize, you're admitting it, right? You're saying, I'm sorry. Yes, you're saying, I did it. Okay. You've ruined your career by doing it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have admitted it. Like, good for you for admitting it, I guess. But you shouldn't have done it in the first place, of course. He became a well-known figure in the technology business while working at Microsoft during the 2000s, where he wrote a blog discussing the latest technology. From here, he moved on to other firms such as Fast Company, cloud provider Rackspace, and most recently Upload VR, which was sued earlier this year for gender discrimination. As well as this, and as well as his consulting work, Mr. Scoble regularly attends as a guest on media outlets including BBC News. In his message on Facebook, Mr. Scoble referenced his issues with alcoholism. I have had many steps in my life to try to improve, including getting sober more than 2 years ago. I have committed to making amends where appropriate and to living a life of transparency, integrity, and honesty. I'm deeply sorry to the people I've caused pain to. I know I've behaved in ways that are inappropriate. However, several women have since accused the 52-year-old of unacceptable behavior after the point when he publicly announced that he was giving up alcohol. I mean, being an alcoholic sucks, dude. Like, obviously that's an addiction and you need help from some specialists there. Doesn't make it okay to grope women. Does not make it okay. That's not an excuse, you know? Like, oh, I was drunk. That's your fault. If you get drunk, it is your fault. Well, maybe some people, if you're forced to drink, that's a different matter. If you're poisoned, that's a different matter. But I'm guessing alcoholism, you are the one that's drinking, you're the one that's picking up the bottle, and you're the one who behaves that way while you're drunk. Because as somebody who has drank way more than he should have on many occasions, I will never allow myself to act in such a disgusting way, no matter how drunk I get. It won't happen. You know, like you can't. I don't think it's possible to get so drunk that behavior ever becomes acceptable. It just doesn't. In my own personal mind, and I don't mean I do mean for society and for each, but for me personally as well. No matter how drunk I get, I will never be at a stage where I feel it's okay to do something illegal. It just won't happen. My morals don't change depending on how drunk I am, and I don't know why that doesn't. Why other people can't adopt that sort of. To me, what should be the default behavior when you're drinking. If you're drinking, you should only do so with the sort of understanding that you need to control yourself. You don't drink and then suddenly be given a get out of jail free ticket, you know? That's not how it works. Being drunk is absolutely no excuse for any kind of illegal behavior, immoral behavior, and especially not for like groping people. That is disgusting. Absolutely horrific. While I am skeptical of this Me Too, hashtag Me Too, # Me Too trend going around on Twitter, Facebook, etc., where women are standing out and saying that, like, I have been molested at some point and I've been assaulted at some point. Cause I don't know if I agree with it, because I feel like it might pressure some people into saying things they don't want to do, or feeling like they're guilty for not coming out and saying it. I feel like we shouldn't have that kind of pressure on these people. But if I'm glad to see that it does have some kind of nice outcome, because we're seeing more and more of these cases in recent months, recent weeks, recent days, of people coming out and saying, this person assaulted me, this person physically assaulted me, and that's good. I'm glad these people are coming out and saying it. I'm glad people are getting investigated when they're doing something illegal. Okay, something a bit closer to home for me, anyway. And this is something I've been seeing in the news this week as well. Scotland has banned smacking children. Now that is your opinion is wrong topic right there. So smacking children was outlawed in Scotland this week. Remarkably, parents in the rest of the UK can still use physical violence to punish or discipline their children, provided it can be considered reasonable punishment, a term not properly defined in law. Smacking is allowed in the majority of other nations as well. Now, before I do continue in this article, I realize I'll be ignoring Hando, and I do want to respond here. Okay, yes, for some reason Mugabe is a comrade, I don't know why. The 80s and 90s would have sucked if they banned cassette tape. That's a very good point. Now imagine they banned cassette tapes so that it can only be, you had to get licensed, and you could only buy like blank tapes if you had a license to do so or something, because otherwise it would be illegal. And recording machines to record onto tape were illegal and all that stuff. Imagine that. Can you imagine all that? They tried that with CD as well. They tried to make it illegal to write CDs for a while, at least in the UK. Yes, imagine how much life would have sucked without all that. And then he says, a wizard is never drunk. He drinks precisely as much as he means to. And so does any responsible person. Not that wizards are responsible. Around the world, smacking is common. A 2014 report by UNICEF found that 80% of the world's children are subject to some form of violent punishment at home. A survey found that of over 4,000 adults in the UK conducted this July, found that the majority, 59%, felt that smacking should not be banned. Only a fifth of those asked thought the practice should be outlawed. Another survey of US-based adults found that 76% of men and 65% of women feel that sometimes children need a good hard spanking. Well, here's my piece on it, as somebody without any children, and so you can take that as you please. But here is my say, and I will say it regardless. I was smacked a couple times as a kid, and I deserved it, and I'm better off for it. And the reason I say it is because the times that I can remember, and I'm guessing that means I was hit hard enough to remember, were always times where I learned a really important life lesson. And the one that really sticks out, the one I'll actually mention here, I was approximately 4 or 5 years old, quite young, and I was outside the house, I was out near the road outside of our home with my mother, and she wasn't holding my hand at the time. I think she was getting something out of her bag or something, and I should have known at that age not to cross the road without looking. But we were walking towards it, and I just kept walking. But my mum sort of grabbed my hand, pulled me back after seeing that I was just walking onto the road without looking, as a big lorry goes past, right? Driving at speed. Now, I would have died, right? Most likely I would have died. At least I probably would have been majorly physically disabled. And hurt. But my mum saved me from the incident. And it was because she was there. Now, my mum hasn't been there since. She's not always there to make sure that I cross the road correctly. She can't be there my entire life to always hold me back when I'm not paying attention to walk onto a road, right? I need to learn that it's important to do so. And clearly I didn't quite understand the gravity of the situation. That I almost died. I don't think I even realized. I probably didn't care. But my mum bent me over, and in the middle of the street, in front of other people, pulled down my trousers and spanked me on the ass. She hit me, right? And it was sore. And I remember crying. I remember thinking, like, it was more the shock. It wasn't the pain that was the problem. It was the shock and the embarrassment that in public she just did this to me, and I couldn't believe that my own mum hit me. She, I think it was the first time, possibly the only time she ever did hit me. I can't really remember many other times. And I remember that so clearly. And you know what? I never walked on the road again without looking both ways. I still do it, right? I still look both ways. I even when it's a country road in the middle of nowhere at 2 a.m., I still look both ways. And I always will. Because that's ingrained. Now, I'm not saying that the only way to teach children is to hit them. I don't think that's the message I'm trying to portray here. Absolutely not. Instead, what I'm trying to really portray is that when it comes to something life-threatening like that, where I didn't even necessarily notice that it was a problem, I needed that ingrained in my memory, because that was the only time that she could make sure that it would be. Telling a kid, oh, don't talk to strangers, always look both ways, make sure you don't put your hand in the fire and touch the hot oven, all that sort of stuff, you know, or fingers in electric sockets. If they do it and you pull them back from it, you should give them a smack. You should absolutely give them a smack. Because then they'll remember not to do it again. Because in that primitive part of your mind when you are that young and you haven't really developed your whole brain yet, you will still remember, because even animals will remember, that doing this action caused pain. Me doing this life-threatening thing caused me pain. And suddenly they won't do it again. Okay? I mean, when it's like the kids like maybe like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15... well, maybe a little bit too old to get smacked, right? And there is an age where they should know they can learn from being told, and they can learn the severity of something through voice. Just like my parents rarely ever shouted at me, so whenever they did, I remember it clearly. I remember when they shouted at me, and that's kind of how punishment should be used very sparingly for the more important aspects. But punishment should not even be on the repertoire. Otherwise, it's not something you should consider. Like, eat your vegetables off your plate. No. Smack. No, that's not okay. That's dumb. You don't. Then you're just teaching the child that violence solves all the problems. That's not the case. But violence does solve some problems, and that's what you should teach. What the real world teaches as well. Now, I also said there is one other occasion. I was talking to Ken Features about this earlier this week. There is one other occasion that I would consider hitting my own kid. And that is if I went and picked up my kid from school because the headmaster called me in, and my kid had severely injured another child, and to say this was like a recurring problem, I'd be pretty tempted then. I'd be pretty tempted to say, you need to understand that you are causing another human being pain, and this is what it feels like. And it'd be an educational thing. It wouldn't be out of revenge. It wouldn't be out of justice. I wouldn't be doing it to try and say, it's only fair that you feel what they felt. No, it's nothing like that. It's not out of an emotional state. This is a purely logical thing. Once you feel what the pain you've put that person through, you'll understand that they went through it as well, and you'll have compassion for that. And that's the other time I think is okay. And again, only to a certain age, because then it becomes useless. After a certain age, if your kid hits another kid, then you just go to jail, right? That's what happens at that age. Is eventually or take them to the police station for a talking to by an officer, right? That sort of stuff would work. But at the very young ages, I think are very. I'm not meaning like causing bruises or anything like that. I mean really to what anybody else would be a light slap, but enough to give them like a shock. That is what I would do. Now, that being said, it is now illegal in Scotland. If I had a kid and if I was viewed to either be hitting them in my own home or elsewhere, it would be illegal. I would have broken the law, and I could lose my kids. And so, yeah, I actually listened to a radio show this week on BBC4 where they had some, I think it was like the head of sociology at a university in England somewhere, came on and said, no, like the hitting kids is okay, just as long as it's, you know, you're not crazy about it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, here's a good one from Hendo. That's quite interesting. Thought experiment. You are a single parent that works night shift, thus you have to sleep during the day. You have 2 children, around 10 years old. Okay, I can kind of see where this is going already. I'm not sure if he's going to add any more to that, because that's quite enough already. You should never ever hit somebody out of emotion. Ever, right? Like, you should never do it out of emotion is what I'm going to say first of all, be a kid or otherwise. They keep sneaking out to play during the day because they get bored watching TV all day. I would argue, well, first of all, Hando, I would say it's entirely illegal to leave your kid alone all day. Here, at least here in the UK, 2 10-year-olds. If you leave 2 10-year-olds alone for all day while you're sleeping or whatever, that is illegal. That would not be allowed. You'd have to get a childcare or whatever. After several times yelling at them, spank or no spank. What's the point? I wouldn't yell in the first place. The most effective thing, I think, again, just from my own personal experience as a kid, not as a parent, I would tell them I'm disappointed. Because you know what? That's the thing that always resounded the most from my dad to me. He would tell me he's disappointed in me. I remember once back when I was a kid, we used to take our dog to like a dog training school, right? We'd go to like a class and we'd teach our dog how to sit and how to lie down, how to socialize with other dogs sensibly, etc. And it was every Tuesday night, I think it was, or every Monday night, and it was at 6 o'clock every Monday night. And so I'd come home from school, we'd get home about 3:30, and my mum would get home at 5 from work, and then we'd leave to go to this thing at 5:45 or so. And I was out playing with my friends, and back then we didn't have mobile phones, right? There was no mobile phones. So I was just running around, and we used to call it like the villages. It was just like this cul-de-sac near my home where there was like lots of houses in a sort of grid pattern. So when you ran around, it felt like it was kind of like, you know, if you're just round the corner, you're hidden from people. So it was good fun because you can play hide and seek really easily, and you could do all that sort of stuff. So, and there was like bushes around the place as well that you could hide in. It was good fun. So we were in some obscure bush somewhere, like playing spin the ball or something. I don't know, as a kid, doing whatever, playing a reenactment or something. Probably Dragon Ball Z. And I remember I went home about 7:30, 8 o'clock, totally forgetting about this dog thing. And I went home and I asked my dad, where's Mum? And he said, she's at the dog training class. And I was like, and it dawned on me like, oh shit, I was supposed to be there. And my dad just said to me, son, I'm really disappointed that you've upset your mother this way, because she is really upset. And that hit me so hard. And you know what? When I was a kid, I went and made her coffee for when she arrived home. And, you know, I was quite young, so that was, you know, it was a big thing for me at the time. Like, trying to make a coffee successfully was always a bit of a... It felt like an alchemist trying to do it at that age. But I'd made her a coffee, and I said, do you want anything? Can I make you dinner? Can I, you know, I felt really bad. And it worked, right? Because guilt's a powerful emotion, especially when it comes to your parents, because you know, you think the world of your parents, and a little bit of guilt that way can be a good thing. So, to answer your question, if I had 2 kids around 10 years old and I was doing night shifts, and so I was sleeping during the day and they were there, first of all, I hope I wouldn't be a single parent. Second of all, I would probably have some kind of help for them during the day. And why aren't they at school? They should be at school. And if not, I think it'd be a bad idea to be working night shifts when you've got 2 kids and you're a single parent, because it must be pretty difficult to do that, considering you won't be awake while they're there. Or while they're in bed, actually. If you're not there to protect, you won't be in the house while they're in bed. That's also not very safe. That would definitely be illegal nowadays. And I would not recommend that. I think here in the UK, the government would probably step in and have some help for that. I don't know how, maybe some kind of subsidies which allows them childcare or whatever. Yeah, no school in summertime. Yeah, I know, but there are camps and stuff, and there's I don't know, relatives, hopefully, something like that. But Again, I wouldn't want to shout. I would leave shouting for when it's really drastic. Again, like if kid was trying to imagine the scenario before from the kid trying to cross the road, right? I would shout at the kid first. If I wasn't near the kid anyway, I would be like, "No, what are you doing?" sort of thing, you know, like tell them off. Because if you don't ever shout at a kid, okay, here's another example, right? I said I was never really shouted at that much as a kid, except for when I was really important. I remember one time I had this new teacher. No, sorry, it wasn't a new teacher. It was during recess, during a break at school, and we were running around playing Sonic. I don't know how, right? We were, you remember Sonic for Sega? Yeah, we were the sort of Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, that kind of thing. We were playing as Sonic. I don't know how. We were just running around, I guess, collecting rings or something. I think we had sweets, like candy, that were like ring shaped, and we said that those were the rings, and we like hid them around the place and had to collect them all or something. Anyway, we were doing this, and the bell rang, and when the bell rings, at least in most Scottish schools, all the kids are expected to line up in their appropriate classes outside, so that they can all be led back into their classes safely with the correct numbers and so on, make sure nobody's missing, and all that stuff. And we were getting into our line. You're supposed to be kind of quiet and respectful at this point. You're not supposed to talk anymore because playtime's over. You're supposed to be now being class effectively. And I remember I was like singing the Sonic theme tune or something, and like making like a face like I thought was like Sonic when he was like running around or something. So because I was doing that, and it looked like the teacher at the front, who wasn't my teacher but like one of the teachers for the older kids, saw that I was making this face, like grinning and like sort of laughing, and like looks like I was talking. She assumed I was making fun of her, understandably, right? Completely understandably, and I genuinely wasn't. And she pulled me in to her office, and she screamed at me. She absolutely bawled at me, and I broke down in tears. I had never been shouted at like that before. I had no idea that was a thing. Like for me, getting shouted was like a very quick, minor thing, followed up by more of a discussion than anything. And it just shocked me that would happen, and I felt so bad that when I went home with like a punishment exercise, I told my dad about how like the teacher like screamed at me, and he was furious. He was so mad because he said, "You do not get talked to like that. That is not how you like. That wouldn't happen in the workplace. Why would it happen to a child?" And so he went in and like screamed at her for that. And he was like, "I'm not happy. He is not doing this punishment exercise because you've screwed up," or something like that. And maybe that's not the correct approach. I don't know. Maybe I was a little bit spoiled as a kid because of these things. But I like that I was raised in a not only a non-violent way, but in a way that was very peaceful. I think discussing and talking with your kid is the most important thing above shouting and hitting. So sorry for the long-winded answer, Hendo. But basically, my opinion is that if you can avoid screaming at a kid or hitting a kid, then it should absolutely be avoided at all costs, because it shapes who they turn into, I think. Okay, that will do for that. I have a few more, but I think I might actually save them for the Geekoscope, because the Geekoscope... Sorry, actually, I'll just let them feed in over the break. I'll just continue this over the break, because I don't really have a geek cred section, because I've literally done nothing but work this week. I mean, literally. So, for now, you've listened to ShowX on VTLProductions.com. This is 3 songs, adding up to 10 minutes or so, from Brad Sucks. Please do enjoy. This is Creative Commons attribution share alike license, so please do feel free to share his music, tell your friends about it, download it for free, or you can purchase it if you want from his website and so on. You listen to ShowX on VTLProductions.com.
Trying to spend my time. Collagen injections injected right into my mind. Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act my age. Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act my age. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the seen in the mirror, and it's clearer nearly every day. Plastic in my body telling me that I should smile and wave. Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act my age. Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act my age. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. I wanna look and feel years younger, baby. I wanna look and feel years younger, baby. Yeah. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. I wanna look and feel years younger, baby. I wanna sick as a dog. When my heart takes a turn to dress yourself the worst, maybe I can find a friend. Don't know exactly where it hurts, but I just try to be the best animal I can. Baby doll enemies and birds and bees, and then I turn back again and I'm sick as a dog. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sick as a dog. Sick as a dog. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sick as a dog. Down in the mouth and having trouble remembering. Hold my heart out loud and turn it up until your earrings bleed. Yeah, time to take out the trash. You know it's easy, but it seems harder every time you try to think about it. Time to take out the trash. You know it's easy, but it seems harder every time you try to think about it. It took me a while, but now I'm headed up into my own. In the back of the car, bad mouthing the chaperone. Yeah, time to take out the trash. You know it's easy, but it seems harder every time you try to think about it. Time to take out the trash. You know it's easy, but it seems harder every time you try to think about it. Officer, I've gotta tell you a secret. Me and my friends are gonna kill you at recess. Time to take out the trash. You know it's easy, but it seems harder every time you try to think about it. Time to take out the trash. You know it's easy, but it seems harder every time you try to think about it.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
Hello, you are listening to ShowX live on VTubRussians.com. Right, so we have first of all, this section is brought to you by ShowX's art contest. Be sure to check us out on VTubRussians.com. Go to the forums at the top. Go into the forum-y stuff here and there, and in fact on the very front page of that you should see the thread, due to the fact this is at the very top, and I think it's the last thing commented on. It is the ShowX 21st art contest. We have 6 themes, of which consists of experimental, Halloween, which is approaching, and that's a good time actually, because within the next, well, it's not the next week, but the week after, Halloween occurs. But there is parties, and there will be events in the next week. You can always go along, bring a camera, bring a sketch pad, and put something out that you think is Halloweeny. Or you can take a picture of your house decorated. That'd be a good one too. First Attempt is the next theme, with fireworks, algorithm, and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's from Aristotle, a quote there. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in so far, which resonates perfectly with the number of maximum submissions per person, which is currently 5. So I put in 5 pieces that I'm very, very fairly proud of in there, and so I'm really happy that this contest has been encouraging me to do some more of my art in the form of photography, and I hope it does with you guys too, whatever that art may be. In fact, even Hando, a screenshot of Factorio would go under algorithm, I think. Or the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That is absolutely true for a very pretty Factorio setup. In fact, if you can get a nice GIF of all that stuff going around, that would be neat. That would be really cool. I'd like that a lot. Oops, I just realized that my camera's not on, etc. My bad. There we go. So now people can see the IRC, etc. Speaking of the IRC, you should mention those giant robot battles on Twitch. That's actually one of the articles I have. I don't know it was on Twitch, but I know that there was, it's actually from the ShowX Facebook. If you go and check there, go to facebook.com, search for ShowX. You will find our news all posted there, as well as our memes, and our shows, of course. But we have one such post is, let's find it. Oh, that's an important article too. Almost missed that one. Where is it? There it is, Giant Robot Duel. So it's on YouTube. Yeah, you can find it on our ShowX page. The link is now in the IRC as well, for anybody particularly interested. There you go. There you go. Okay, cool. Although I just realized the IRC is now glitching out on me. What is going on? There we go. Okay, now you should be able to see it fine. Hando says, I'll draw the Mona Lisa in coal on Factorio, lols. I would be very impressed, sir. That would not be an easy task to do. If you can do that, I will metaphorically shake your hand. So yeah, the giant robot battle happened. It was between the US and Japan, right? And they're called Megabots. However, if you actually look around on Google now, that video was really cool and all. Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a bit slow and clunky, but it wasn't actually live. While it was very cool, and while it was hoping, we were kind of hoping this is going to be the start of something big, a big moment of history. However, it turns out that this is from trustedreviews.com. It turns out the hyped Megabots fight was every bit as choreographed as Michael Bay's Robots in Disguise. Those who turned to the live stream on Twitch may have noticed the action looked a lot more like violent, Strictly Come Dancing performance as opposed to a clash of heavy machinery. The fight's promoters have now admitted the battle was shot over a number of days and heavily edited in order to create a more entertaining rumble. The duel was filmed over a number of days, but all of the repair time was cut out, Megabots co-founder Matt Orline told Motherboard. The action was real and we aimed to create the most entertaining fight possible. We're letting the video speak for itself. Now, it is pretty interesting. I mean, it's also a bit dumb, and it's kind of what you expect, right? I mean, if you build a giant robot, no matter how many cool weapon systems it has, and your ideas for it running around shooting flames from its arms or whatever you have, in the end, the one that just ran forward and pushed the other one over won, right? I mean, the problem is that we're still struggling with the stability of robots, right? I mean, there's top research going into just making it so that quadruped robots can actually stand after getting knocked and stuff. That's a whole line of research, you know? Like, we're not at the stage where giant robots can duel and it looks cool. We're at the next 100 years or so, where we have giant robots that fight in the most unremarkable ways ever. It's just going to be a case of, I pushed you over. I made you face a wall that you can't turn away from. I stood behind you and you have no reversibility. Haha, I win. You know, anything like that. I mean, they made it look very cool. They had some cars being thrown around and flamethrowers, and they said missiles. I knew straight away that it wasn't going to be that serious and scary a thing, considering the number of people that were standing around watching the robots nearby. I mean, if it was a real, like, scary robot battle, there wouldn't be people nearby for like 100 miles. No, that's a slight exaggeration. For like a mile at least, right? Where they'd be watching from binoculars or a helicopter in the sky, because there'd be missiles and gunfire going all around from the two robots, right? But there wasn't. Now, that being said, I'm being very highly critical. This is the first time this has ever happened, and hopefully it's the first time of many, because we've got a long way to go, and if this inspires more money and funding for the research into making robots more usable, we could probably actually use some of the research into industry and stuff as well, because, you know, robots are currently in use in Amazon warehouses. They're scooting around, rearranging packages and such, putting them in correct places. And robots are also in use on the roads with their cars, but that's kind of and again, that's like 100-year-old technology right there, yeah? It's no surprise that we're finally getting to the stage where they can be autonomous, but it takes time. The dates for the next 3 Steam sales have been leaked. So a lot of things need to be done before the Steam sale. I like to give my dog my wallet to look after while I flee to a remote secret location with no internet access, says this article on PC Gamer. It can be tough predicting when they'll start, however. Thankfully, the next 3 Steam sale dates have all been leaked. So three developer sources confirmed the dates with Kotaku, providing images, so the leak certainly seems to be legitimate. It covers the Halloween sale, autumn sale, and winter sale. So the Halloween sale will be October 26th, so 4 days time until November 1st. The autumn sale will be November 22nd until November 28th, and the winter sale will be December 21st until January. Alright, so it's 14 days, 6 days, then an unknown period. This should be plenty of time to start whatever personal Steam sale ritual is. They should kick off about 6 PM GMT on each day. And then he says, I'd better give my dog my wallet now. That's cool. It's good to know. I can't even freaking game. Serathis very kindly offered me a Civ 6 50% off, which would reduce to £30, I think, or whatever. Which is very kind, and I would like to play Civ 6, but I don't have a computer that can play it. I just simply don't. I don't have it. There's no point in me getting games when I have no means to play them. They'll just pile up, and then eventually get a new computer, and I'll probably be more interested in new games then than the ones that I already have at that point. So I'm just going to hold off on buying games. There's no point in looking. But I will discuss them, and I will sit here and live vicariously through what I talk about and through you guys, the listeners. Other thing that I shared was an image. It's titled "The Victims of EA," which is companies killed by Electronic Arts EA, including Origin, Westwood Studios, DICE, Criterion Games, Maxis, Bullfrog, BioWare, Mythic Entertainment, and now Visceral, who made Dead Space, Battlefield Hardline, and the cancelled Star Wars game, and so on. The reason I mention this is because Visceral has just been killed. It's a very recent thing. But the other ones that I really want to mention were Bullfrog, because they did theme park stuff, Theme Hospital, Dungeon Keeper, etc. And for me personally, it was Populous. I adored Populous. It was one of the best games. It really got me into gaming, actually, back on one of my Windows 95 machines, I guess. Maxis, which created the original Sims, and then EA crapped all over the Sims to make loads of money, right? And that's all the ones I really particularly cared about. Although DICE did do the Battlefield series pre-number 3. And Criterion Games made the technology behind GTA 3, Grand Theft Auto 3. That's quite a lot of stuff. Pretty nuts. Okay, here's another random article. The FDA... this is funny. Backs move to make bespoke condoms because the average size of 6.69 inches is too big for American men, and they keep slipping off. So, the average erect penis size in America is 5.57 inches, about an inch shorter than the standard condom size. Experts believe this is one of the main reasons why 1/3 of single American men use a condom during sex. Or just 1/3. Now the FDA has made a policy change that allows companies to make smaller condoms. That's important, right? Because, you know, it's all very well getting a bigger condom, being like, oh, look at me, I'm so big, and then it not working, right? So it makes sense to have one that actually fits, so it can do the purpose in which you bought it for. Protection from many things. Recent CDC figures on condom use revealed 1/3 of single men use the rubber protection, and one of the most common reasons for non-users is that they slip off. Guess why, buddies? It's because you're wearing a condom that's too big for you. Have some self-respect and some self-confidence to go out and buy a smaller size as well. I mean, they're available, right? At least they are here in the UK. You can get many sizes here. And you can get many of them free, which is cool. Just not the exotic ones. Indeed, a study by Indiana University on almost 2,000 men revealed the average length is 5.57 inches, which is an inch shorter than the standard size, as was said before. Now the Food and Drug Administration, which regulates health industry standards, has conceded that there is a need for smaller condoms in a desperate bid to lower the rates of sexually transmitted diseases and unwanted pregnancies. Cool. Good for them. Good for you, US. You're doing something smart there. That does make a lot of sense. Alright. Next up we have an article from The Independent that I've already read, and I'm not going to read again, but I didn't mark it off last time because I am a ninny. Okay. I didn't do that time either. Okay, this one is from ThaiVisa.com? ThaiVisa.com. This one's another Bitcoin related one. Bitcoin has now surged to a record high of more than $6,000 on Friday, pushing its market capitalization to $100 billion at one point as investors continue to bet on an asset that has limited supply and has paved the way for a whole slew of other cryptocurrencies. So, basically, Bitcoin's still going. People predicted its death years ago, still going strong, still soaring, and if you even invested last week, you will have already made money. Shame it costs so much to get into. Oh, a controversial one. NeoGAF. So for those who aren't aware, it's a popular gaming forum known as NeoGAF, has been the center of several controversies in recent years, partly due to the Gamergate side of things. They're very much a social justice website, and they in fact even join their recluse society. You must sort of pass through multiple barriers and consent of multiple people in order to be accepted. And even if you're accepted, you have certain expectations of what you need to stand for and your moral grounds you must have. And moral viewpoints you must stand at, even if you don't stand out against other things. If you see nothing about a certain, I don't know, news story or something, you can get banned for not standing up and saying, this is disgusting, this is horrible. You can get banned for not standing up and preaching their points. So they not the most friendly of societies from the sounds of it, not very much for free speech anyway. But it's still prolific and popular. Gaming forum NeoGAF, formerly the Gaming Age Forums, founded in 2006, is currently offline and might not be coming back this time. In the wake of some very serious allegations of sexual harassment captured on Imgur, leveled at site owner Tyler Evilore, as he's known, Malka, at least 11 site administration and moderation staff have stepped up and walked out in a show of solidarity with the accuser, taking many of the site's regular users with them. The allegations against Malka carry additional weight due to claims from the man himself, posted on NeoGAF back in 2012, that he has treated women in far less than gentlemanly fashion. Joining the admin and moderation staff, NeoGAF's community is scattering far and wide, with some other major games forums seeing mass sign-ups. In the past few hours, with Waypoint in particular seeing a large number of arrivals welcomed with open arms. So these guys have originally just a gaming forum, but because they're particularly social justice-y viewpoints, it's not been the favorite for some people, but has been the favorite for many. And then, in an almost ironic twist, it turns out that the head of the site is under the midst of lots of sexual allegations. So, yeah, maybe there's a reason he was so pro-social justice, because he was actually fighting the demons not out in the world, but the demons within himself. There's NeoGAF. Sad time we live in. Sad time. Okay, this one comes from Indian Express. And no, I do not want notifications. How dare you? Moon photobombed the sun and people can't stop cracking jokes about it. So, we all have that one friend who loves... This is what the article says. We all have that one friend who loves to photobomb pictures to okay, this is really badly written. Okay, I'm not going to read the article. I think it may be translated from Indian, actually, because it's... In fact, even the title had a typo on it. Okay, point being, there are images from NASA of the sun, and I guess they didn't quite work out the fact that the moon will go in front of it at some point, and so yeah, he photobombed it, and people have been like going all over Twitter shouting about narcissistic moon, always trying to get in the picture, yada yada yada. What a joker! My sister does it too, son. Don't worry about it. The moon be like, hey, and lots of other stuff like that. So that's vaguely interesting. Thank you for your rather poorly written article, Indian Express. Okay, this is from Google, actually. Oh no, that's the same article, sorry. The same article, but I linked to it from Google originally. Okay, the very last one that we have... No, there's two more, sorry, there's a couple here. This one's from The Sun, which is the UK's most read newspaper, and also the most unreliable. Hours from death, in caps. This is why they're bad, right? Father of three, hit by sepsis, which is a horrible, horrible disease, has both legs and hands amputated just 1 day after thinking he caught a cold. Chris Galrick complained of flu-like symptoms on the Saturday and was rushed to intensive care the next day. But the dad of three... Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. I should not look at the pictures. Dad of three has had to have his legs and hands amputated after just 1 day after thinking he had caught the cold. But Chris Garlick was shocked to find that he had sepsis, when the body's response to infection causes injury to its own tissues and organs. Just hours after calling NHS Direct, he was fighting for his life. Wales Online reports that his wife, Karen, was told he might die. The 46-year-old lost both legs, one of his hands, and all of his fingers on the other hand. He said, "I'm just looking forward to the future because I did manage to survive sepsis. I've survived and I've got things to do. I'm going to be a father and a husband again." What a shame. Poor guy. I mean, losing all of your appendages that way in a way so that it's very difficult to interact with the world must be a crushing feeling. I feel really sorry for him. That really is a horrible thing to happen. This is another one from India Today. We'll see how this one is. So ketamine may treat migraine unresponsiveness to other therapies. So, ketamine, a medication commonly used for pain relief and depression, as well as by the kids of Scottish streets to have fun in the weekends, known as Ketty here, or Ket, may help alleviate migraine pain in patients who have not been helped by other treatments, a study has found. The study of 61 patients found that almost 75% experienced an improvement in their migraine intensity after a 3 to 7 day course of an inpatient treatment with ketamine. The drug is used to induce general anesthesia, but also provides powerful pain control for patients with painful conditions in lower doses than its anesthetic use. So if it doesn't KO you, you feel a bit better, pretty much. Ketamine may hold promise as a treatment for migraine headaches in patients who have failed other treatments. And we're going to repeat ourselves over and over in this article, like many do. An estimated 12% of the US population suffers from migraines, recurring attacks of throbbing or pulsing moderate to severe pain. In fact, I've had a bad headache all day, and this is kind of reminding me that I need to take my pills at some point. And that's probably why I'm not as energetic as usual. I do apologize. So that's good that they're actually researching other ways that we can, using even existing meds, which is great because we already have them available and, you know, people have already got them to hand, so it's not a case of we need to synthesize them and distribute them or anything. These are available right now. So if we can find uses with drugs we currently have to solve existing problems, that's fantastic. It's a great thing. Okay, that was good. Well done, India Today. You actually did the article okay. Okay, last one here. This is from The Guardian. And this is another controversial point here. Britain is not bluffing on no-deal Brexit, says Liam Fox. So, Emmanuel Macron is completely wrong to believe the UK government is bluffing over its talk of a New Deal Brexit, Liam Fox has said, as he insisted he would not publish studies detailing the potential impact of such an outcome on the economy. Fox, the International Trade Secretary, said that while he would prefer Britain to reach a trade agreement with the EU, he was not scared of the idea of no deal, which would lead to a default to World Trade Organization trading terms. So there's two major things that we need to talk about with this deal, which are really important for the UK right now. One is the fact that if we don't get a deal, we're going to have to pay that large sum for leaving the EU pretty much off the bat, and there's not much we can do about it. It's not necessarily going to be monthly, yearly payments. It's not going to. We're not going to get like a reduced sum. We're not going to be able to look over the sum and agree or disagree. It's just going to be the default amount, which is a scary thing in itself. So for that deal, it was kind of important that we had that money just sorted and hopefully reduced a little bit so that we don't have such a big hit in our deficit right now. The other big problem with, and the reason that we need a deal, is that right now, we are obviously part of the EU in the UK, and that means that we have access to to all the benefits of a trade union. We can trade with countries within the trade union with ease, and there are certain rules that these agreements must go by, and trade agreements, so that nobody can be screwed over, and there's no high tax rates, and yada yada yada, and it should be win-win for everybody involved. Obviously, since we voted for Brexit, we no longer wish to be part of this union. However, we still want to have some kind of trade ties with the EU. We're not saying that we don't want to talk to the EU anymore. We're not saying screw those guys, we're going to go trade with the US only. We're saying we want to trade with you on something that we have actually fought for, and an agreement that we agreed with, not just one that the other countries have necessarily agreed with. That's a problem with being a small country in a big union, is that you have a very small voice. So if you disagree with something, you might just be overruled by everybody else. And I think that's probably one of the many reasons that Britain has left the EU. And so when we actually do officially leave, we're going to resort to World Trade Organization rules, trading terms. And that means that we have to just have traded them in that sort of format, and we don't get any extra benefit. What we're kind of hoping for is that because we're part of the EU and we are in the midst of leaving it, maybe at least along the way we could continue certain trade agreements that we already have in place, to allow certain companies in both countries and certain governments in both countries to flourish through the previous agreement while we slowly leave over the years or whatever, right? The idea being we just make it less of a clean cut and more of a slow withdrawal. And that's the plan. That's what people would like. However, what this guy Emmanuel Macron, Liam Fox, is saying is that, well, maybe no deal isn't the worst thing ever, because we are preparing for it, and it is a possibility. And the problem is that the longer we stay in the EU, the more we need to pay them. Partly because we're benefiting from the agreement, and so we owe them more money for being in the EU. And certain agreements have certain dates, and if we go too long or too short on these dates, we can owe extra money or owe less money or whatever. And the more we drag our heels, it's also bad for our country. I mean, I don't think anybody can disagree that in this time of uncertainty, just before Brexit, it's been bad on the economy. Our economy has been doing very poorly. But many are saying that once we are actually out of the EU, we will allow companies to be able to go and make their own trade agreements with other countries, and suddenly that opens a huge new world of trade, and hopefully that'll make the economy recover, is what people are saying. So even if we get a no-deal Brexit, it would be a positive thing, some are saying, because we can get these new trade deals out quickly. And we can begin them soon and fix the economy now, and we can stop having crappy exchange rates, etc. Whereas others are saying, obviously, that having a trade deal is more important because we could save the government the money, lots of money, and get better trade deals as well. So both sides have good points. I think most people are I personally agree that it's probably better to have some kind of trade deal. The difficulty is that there are some countries in the EU that do appear to be dragging their heels with this and not allowing conversations to continue, and the trade deal talks to continue, where really they need to be kind of going quickly. Problem is, not many people are agreeing on terms, so that's the problems we have right now with that. Okay, I think I'm actually going to call the show there, because I don't actually have anything else to bring up. I could go into some gaming news, but like I said, I'm feeling a little bit sick today, and I've done many articles as it is. I think that shall do. As such, you have been listening to ShowX on vtwproductions.com. Thank you very much for sticking through. I appreciate, and Wayne would appreciate too, your listening in. And I'm going to try to make sure I find the right outro, because I think I had the last... Did I have the right one last week? I can't remember. But let's see. I'll try my hardest. You listen to ShowX on vtwproductions.com, and we will see you next week. And I think we should be at full strength, and we'll see.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.